How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. Today, we will be recapping last night's game between the Yankees and the Reds, the second game of a two-game set. The Yankees, once again, lose in extra innings. They lose by a final score of 5-4. The Reds now, in their last 5 games against the Yankees, dating back to last season when they played over the summer in the Bronx, Reds are 5-0. So the Reds are going for the sweep once again this year. Max Fried's on the mound for the Yankees. Usually I'd feel good about that, but the way the team has been playing, who knows? And they lost the last game that Max Fried pitched. That was when they went up against the Orioles in the Bronx. But a lot of takeaways from this game. Some of them not so good. The bullpen once again imploded. We also had Chisholm getting thrown out of the game. Second time that's happened to him this season. Yankees can't win in extra innings as usual. They can't do the little things. They score in one inning, and then they don't score again until in extra innings when they actually did take the lead. But, of course, they still end up losing regardless. And the Yankees were going up against a rookie pitcher in Chase Burns. He made his debut last night for the Reds and got off to a good start, struck out the side to start the inning, or to start the game, rather. And it looked like that set the tone. But the Yankees did get to him in the fourth inning. They put up a 3-spot. You had Ben Rice hitting his 14th homer of the season, and he's starting to heat up again. Anthony Volpe had a 2-run triple. Was very happy to see that. Came up in a big spot and was hoping, like, okay, maybe this is when Volpe is going to turn the corner, but not so fast. He had 3 more strikeouts on the night, so he continues to struggle. Yankees as a team, I mean, the strikeouts are continuing to rack up for this team. Grisham struck out 3 times. Volpe struck out 3 times. 13 strikeouts on the night in total for the Yankees. So that's not good. And also, they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So once again, guys on base, they can't do anything. They can't push a run across. Also, with Carlos Rodon, pitched very well last night. Gave the Yankees 6 shutout innings. But many people were questioning the move to take him out of the game and put in Jonathan Loáisiga. And Jonathan Loáisiga only got 1 out in his appearance, and the Reds ended up tying the game in the bottom of the 7th inning. There was a lot of traffic on the bases. You had a couple of, singles that, weren't hit that hard, but, the Reds were able to get on base, and you also had a walk as well before that. And then you had Christian Encarnacion Strand get a bases-clearing double that tied the game in the bottom of the 7th inning. And once that happened, I knew the Yankees were not winning the game because they just cannot score runs anymore. I don't know what happened to this offense. Everybody's just struggling at the same time. But then Loáisiga, that was the other thing too. Loáisiga gets taken out of the game by the trainer. So now we don't know if he's hurt or whatnot, because he didn't immediately go to the clubhouse. He was still on the bench. But as I'm recording this, I really don't have any updates on what the situation is with Loáisiga, but it would not surprise me if he's on the IL and we don't see him for a long time, because this is what happens with Jonathan Loáisiga, right? He gets hurt every single year. And when he's on the mound, he's effective, and it looked like he started to turn the corner. Was pitching a lot better. The stuff looked great. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, hey, Yankees got a weapon now in the bullpen, another added weapon with him. But now, forget it. He's probably out for an extended period of time, and we'll probably never see him again. But that might be a bit of an overreaction. Let's just see what comes of this with Loáisiga. But that was just another thing. So Loáisiga comes in, just didn't have it. Reds end up tying the game. And then we end up going into extra innings. And anytime the Yankees go into extra innings, you just know they're not going to win, especially on the road. And the road record continues to get worse. Since 2022 now, they are 4-22 in road extra inning games. And I think now they're 13-27, 13-28, something like that, since the Manfred Man was introduced on the road. But at home, for some reason, they have the best record. It just doesn't make sense to me. But actually, let's go to the 9th inning. So Jazz Chisholm is up. 2-0 pitch he takes. It's low. They call it a strike. And he is just not happy. And from that point on, he was not focused in that at bat. He ends up striking out, continues to chirp at the umpire, and then he goes back in the dugout. Aaron Judge talks it over with him, tries to calm him down. He's still chirping, takes the field in the bottom of the ninth inning, and he's talking. And after the game, he's saying he's talking to himself, and the umpire's looking at him. They make eye contact. He says, "Why are you looking at me?" He gets thrown out of the game. And then he's still going at the umpire. Boone's trying to hold him back. And then, he goes back to the dugout. He's still barking at the umpire. And then you have Jason Dominguez, a 22-year-old player, having to hold him back. And then he eventually goes into the clubhouse. Not a good look from Jazz. And again, it was a horrible call. It was a horrible call. But you have to turn the page. You got to be able to suppress your emotions there. Because now, what ended up happening is, he gets thrown out of the game. Then you put in DJ LeMahieu. LeMahieu comes up in Jazz's spot. Doesn't come through. But then, they put in Dominguez to pinch hit for Peraza. Then all of a sudden, you got to put J.C. Escarra at third base. And thankfully, the Yankees still lost. But it didn't come down to Escarra having to make a play at third base. There was a pop-up on the left side of the infield. It looked like he was going to be the one that was going to have to catch it, but Volpe came over and caught it. But what Jazz did was selfish. I'm sorry. And it was a bad call. It was a bad call, but you need to turn the page. The Yankees need you. And if you get suspended, now you have to play Peraza again. LeMahieu's not hitting anymore. Never really. Well, he was a little bit, but it's just he hasn't really been giving the Yankees that much since, that bit of a hot streak he was on, if you want to call it that. The Yankees are kind of thin. So you can't do that. But he gets thrown out of the game. It was a selfish act. You gotta suppress your emotions. But you gotta turn the page, and that's Jazz for you. You gotta love the passion. You gotta love the swag, but this also comes with that too. And this is not the first time this has happened with him. He got thrown out against the Rays. So, and then in extra innings, the Yankees get the bases loaded in the 10th inning. And you got Aaron Judge coming up with 2 outs. And you're thinking, please, Judge, please come through here. Please. So I don't have to hear all these naysayers saying this guy does not come up in a big spot. He does not come through. Because actually, Aaron Judge has 28 go-ahead plate appearances in the 8th inning or later. And that's the most since 2017, his rookie year. I know he came up in 2016, but 2017 was his rookie year. He didn't have enough at-bats to qualify for 2016 to be his rookie year. So 2017. He has 28 go-ahead plate appearances. But apparently he's not clutch. But he didn't come through in that spot. And there's been a few times this year where he needs to come through in a big spot and he doesn't come through. Double play against the Red Sox. Another example. But yeah, he pops out. Reds get out of the jam. But Mark Leiter Jr., he pitches a clean bottom of the inning there. And then now the Yankees have another opportunity to take the lead, which they do. But they only get 1 run. Cody Bellinger hits a sharp ground ball to the right side. Spencer Steer makes a good play on it. They get the first out. Judge at least moves over. But you know how the Yankees get the run in? A wild pitch. They don't put the ball in play. A wild pitch. Judge scores. They go up, and Mark Leiter Jr. comes back out. He gets beat trying to cover first base by Ellie De La Cruz. So you really can't fault him there. He didn't record an out. He did not record a single out in the bottom of the 11th inning. So Ellie De La Cruz beats out the infield hit. Then Spencer Steer singles. So that eventually ties the game. because you have the ghost runner, Matt McClain at third. And actually, Ellie De La Cruz, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. He thought I don't know what he thought the game was over because he could have very easily got to third base. I mean, the Reds still won, but like he could have very easily got to third base on that single. But I guess he thought that the Reds won the game because he kind of just was like in no man's land. He got back to second base. The Yankees maybe had a chance to get him out, and they would have caught a huge break. But I guess he thought the Reds won the game because he kind of slowed up, and he had to stay at second. But then right after that, there's a wild pitch, so it didn't really matter. You have runners at second and third. Tyler Stevenson walks, and then Gavin Lux comes up, pinch hitter, and he singles. Reds win 5-4. And the Reds 0-30 after trailing in 6 innings. After the 6th inning this season, you could thank the Yankees now for your one win. They are now 1-30 after the 6th inning. Because you knew that was going to happen, right? You knew. You knew the Yankees would be that team that would let them win and get that one victory with that stat. But, I mean, I'm at a loss for words, everybody. I'm at a loss for words. This team has talent. I still believe. I still think they'll get out of this. But when you take a step back and you look at the standings and you see that the Rays are one game back of them for the AL East, and then you look at the bigger picture, and you take a look at the best records in the American League and the standings there, the Astros right now surpass the Yankees. They passed the Yankees now. The Yankees will be playing in the wild card round if the season were to end today. After the great start that they've gotten off to, they have now kind of fallen back down. They've come crashing down. And I don't know when they're going to get out of it, but they got to start playing better baseball. A lot of guys in the lineup right now are just not getting it done. Goldschmidt is struggling. Volpe got the 2-run triple, but he continues to strike out. I mean, he's getting beat by 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. He can't keep up with them. Austin Wells, I mean, he comes up, to start off one of the extra innings, and he just pops out. He doesn't even get the runner over. Dominguez, the power's gone, and he doesn't really play. They're trying to work everybody in, but he's getting inconsistent play time. Judge is kind of slowed down a little bit. Now his average is down to average is down to 364. But, I mean, he was batting, 400 a couple weeks ago. But that just shows you that, he's kind of going through a bit of a funk. I mean, he hit a couple of homers over the last week. But, and Stanton, the power numbers are not there since he's come back. And he had a rough night the first game. And then, Jazz has been good. But, he's had some rough games too. Everybody has. I don't really know. I don't know. And then Carlos Rodon, gets taken out of the game last night. And I was going to, thankfully, we waited to record this because had I did an immediate reaction, I would have said this loss is on Aaron Boone. But Carlos Rodon essentially took himself out of the game last night. He said he was gassed. And, part of it is the weather. With this heat wave that we're going through. I do think that's that's part of the reason why he had to take himself out. But, he gets taken out at 88 pitches. You could have maybe pushed it a little bit more. Rodon is a guy that does tend to use up everything and empty the tank. And I don't want to get on Rodon because he's been great this year. But maybe we could have got one more inning. Because Luke Weaver and Devin Williams did their job. They did their jobs. And I don't know, but quietly, you had, I mean, maybe it's because Luke Weaver's just coming back, but now Luke Weaver's back pitching the 8th inning and Devin Williams is pitching the 9th. I mean, Devin Williams has been pitching good. So, I guess maybe for the moment, maybe he got the job back. But these other relievers, man, Loizica, and then Mark Leiter Jr. Just he's forced to pitch another inning. They couldn't use Tim Hill last night. He was unavailable. He's pitched a lot. This is what happens every year. The Yankees bullpen at this point in the season, it gets absolutely taxed. They're exhausted, and they blow games. And this game goes up in the rafters as one of the worst losses of the year. It's up there. And this was a game the Yankees needed to have. After 6 innings, I felt good. Loizaca's been pitching better. I'm like, the Yankees should be able to handle this with a 3-run lead. Nope. They score in 1 inning. They score all 3 runs in 1 inning, and then you don't score until the extra innings when Aaron Judge scores on a wild pitch. That happens a lot. They score in 1 inning, and then they don't score again. But it just doesn't make sense to me how this team is this bad in extra innings. And it's not like, they're middle of the pack or, they're at the bottom when it comes to extra innings on the road. They're horrible. It's an automatic loss. And they can't bunt the guy over. They can't, Cody Bellinger, was able to move Judge over. But if Judge doesn't score in that wild pitch, the Yankees don't score in that inning. But they can't bunt. Like DJ LeMahieu the other day, you can't bunt. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And this year, the Yankees stats in extra innings, everybody. So their slash line, 063, 205, 063 in 32 at-bats. They have 2 hits, no extra base hits, 1 sacrifice fly, which was the Escara one that won them the game against the Padres, and 2 runs. Game winner with the Escara against the Padres, and then last night when Judge scores on the wild pitch. But they still end up losing. Even when the Yankees took the lead, I'm like, this game's not over yet. The game's not over. You got to get a second run across. They weren't doing that. And then Mark Leiter Jr. just couldn't get anybody out. And the Yankees lose again. And that lead has really shrunk. It's down to 1 game over the Rays. Rays will probably pass them by the end of the week. I mean, they're taking on they finally will have an off day tomorrow. They need it desperately. And then they play the A's, which, hey, they should beat them. But will they? I don't know. I will be going to the game on Friday. And they're 2-0 so far this year. But that was back when they were playing good baseball. The first game against the Red Sox was probably the last day before the funk happened. Well, actually, they did sweep the Royals after that, so maybe when they went to Fenway, that's when the funk began. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know, everybody, but we got to stick with them. We have to. I'm not going to say it's over, this is it, there's no coming back from this, because I know there's some Yankee fans that'll give up, and in the past I would, but I would keep watching. Look, I feel like, bashing my head against the wall, but look, we got to keep watching, man. We just have to. This is our team. We got to support them through the tough times. The good times are great, but look, part of being a fan is you also have to go through these type of stretches. And that's what the Yankees are in right now. That's what they're in right now. I'll be honest, there was a part of me that was waiting for that other shoe to drop, because that's how, these last few years have kind of gone with this team. But they got to get back up from this. And I think they will. And we'll be okay. They got to make some trades. The bullpen help, they're going to have to do that. But this offense needs a bit of a jolt. And I don't know where they're going to get it from. But they need some kind of they need a bat. Because right now the young guys aren't doing it. Some of the veteran guys like Goldschmidt have slowed down. I mean, look at last year. You went out and you got Jazz Chisholm, and then that kind of provided a spark. And then the Yankees started winning ball games again. That's what they're going to need. Somebody. Again, I don't know who that's going to be, but I'm telling you right now, DJ LeMahieu should not be playing every day. That's why they need to go out and get another bat. Peraza doesn't hit, plays good defense, made a good play yesterday. LeMahieu, look, it was nice when he was getting some big hits for us, but it's just, again, I sound like a broken record because I've been saying it so many times on these pods lately. It's not sustainable. They need another bat. I don't know where it's coming from. I really don't. I don't. Like, there's some fans out there like, oh, what if the Braves aren't doing that good? What if they went out and got Austin Riley? They're not getting Austin Riley. It's not happening. As much as I would love that, it's not happening. We've heard Ryan McMahon's name forever. The Rockies just don't ever seem like they're going to trade him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from. But that was an ugly loss on many different fronts. Loizaga getting hurt, Jazz getting thrown out, losing in extra innings. Volpe 3 more strikeouts. Rodon saying he was gassed after the game. Judge coming up in a big spot, not delivering. Yankees really only scoring in 1 inning, and then not scoring again. And it's just a lot of negatives. Did I say that were there any positives from this game? Well, Rodon looked great when he pitched. Ben Reich showing the power. Volpe with the 2-run triple. They scored a run in extra innings, but they ended up losing. Now the bad outweighed any kind of good. There was really no good. There was just it was a bad loss. It was a bad loss. Like I said, goes up in the rafters. Goes up in the rafters as one of the worst losses of the season. So the Reds go for the sweep tonight. Probably will get it. Anybody want to get a big hit tonight? Anyone? In a big spot? Like guys come up in these big spots and it just, for me, it's just, I hate that I don't really have confidence for anybody to deliver. I don't. And that's the pessimistic side of me. I don't want to be like that. But, I'm going to keep watching. And I'm going to hope for them to prove me wrong. But let's just hope that they could salvage the final game. You go into the off day feeling good. Come back on Friday. Start a series with a team that you should at least win the series. I'm not even going to say sweep. At least win the series. Can you win the series? Can you do that? And go from there. But remember when I kept saying when the Yankees, would lose a series to the Dodgers, they lost a series to the Red Sox, don't let it continue? Yeah, it continued. They continued. Also, Marcus Stroman could be on his way back, but his most recent rehab start, he got knocked around pretty good. I don't want him any part of this rotation. I really don't. But the Yankees, they don't have a fifth starter right now. They don't. They bring up Winans. He didn't really pitch that good. Cam Schlittler, his name's been mentioned. I would like to see in the rotation. Can we get him? I don't want to see Stroman. because Stroman gives us no chance to win. I liked the signing last year, and he got off to a good start. And I said, this kind of attitude, this kind of moxie in the postseason would fit really well. But he wore down as the season went along. He didn't pitch at all in the playoffs last year, and this year, no offense, he was batting practice. That last game he pitched against, who was it, the Giants? He couldn't get an out. I don't want him pitching in this rotation. There's got to be somebody else. Anybody. Cam Schlittler. We saw him in spring training. He looked good. Pitching well in the minors. Bring him up. Let him start until we get Luis Heel, or if Yarborough's back sooner than that. But Yarborough has no oblique strain, and that usually takes a while. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to myself, as along with the Yankee fans that are watching this or listening, not really looking forward to Stroman being back. I hate to say it, but we'll see. Both New York teams continue to go through it. The Mets lost again last night. They had the lead, and their bullpen is taxed too. They end up losing to the Braves again. Subway Series is going to be interesting next week. There's going to be juice, absolutely. But compared to where both teams were, they're still in the same spots. But compared to where we were when they first played against each other, both teams are playing good baseball, to now where both teams are right now and how they've been playing. Yeah, both fan bases are not happy. But you know what? They'll both turn it around. Like I said yesterday, they'll both turn it around. We'll have to wait and see. But better days are ahead, everybody. We just gotta be patient. Even though if you hear me saying that, you're probably like, I don't want to hear this. I'm not. You're impatient. Boone. It's Boone. It's Cashman. It's whatever. They're going through a tough stretch right now. We just have to remain vigilant and just hope that they get out of it. Because this team is good. And if they don't get out of this funk now, well, you know what? Let's get to the All-Star break then and just hope that layoff helps them out. But let me know what you guys think about the game last night. An ugly loss for the Yankees. And let's try to avoid the sweep tonight. But as always, everybody, make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, aka Twitter. We got the social media accounts in the description. The link tree is also in the description as well. If you want to listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, we're on Spotify. That's the biggie. So if you want to listen to us, we're on there. And better days are ahead. So as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off. Have a good one. Go Yankees. I'll talk to you guys next time.